vision, reaching the lost people for Jesus Christ, and also helping people to flourish in their gifts and their calling. So we always felt like he's a visionary leader, not like a project leader, more about vision. He always shared the vision, and I liked that a lot, because I think the church, maybe from now in 10 years, it looks different, but the vision is still the same.
So it's really important to see that and recognize that I do things differently, and maybe also come to a point where you realize this is uniquely you, and you have uniquely this, and you play it out, because then it makes the whole thing the most beautiful.
We are so honored. Yes, you can clap for them.
Thank you.
Welcome to the kingdom. Yes. It's really such an honor. I've been here 5 years, but haven't had a chance to really talk to you guys much. It's always, we come and go so quickly, and I haven't really had a chance, but I do watch. I've seen your work from afar. And so to have you here with us at Leadership Academy is really, really, really such an honor. This is our first ICF Leadership Academy podcast.
Wow.
I hope that's prophetic. I hope that's like because there's more to come. Maybe, I don't know. This is our dream, right? And so you guys are the first ones to do this for us, and it really means a lot. Let me just introduce you guys to those of you who haven't had a chance to meet them. They are the lead pastors of ICF Zurich Church. This is the largest church in Switzerland. All right, they have over 3,000, right? Over 3,000 visitors weekly across 6 locations. They also lead the ICF movement. You've probably heard of us talk about this a lot, ICF movement, right? This is a movement of over 75 churches around the world, including us.
Wow. Wow.
Right? In 13 different countries, and ICF Siem Reap is one of those locations. So as you can see, they are a really big part of the legacy of what we all get to do here, right? We're in this room because of a lot of the leadership chances they've taken over the last almost 30 years, I guess, with ICF. So it is obviously just a really honor to have that kind of leadership experience in the room with us today. None of that happens by accident. You've obviously made really intentional decisions throughout this journey that have led to, where we're at in this moment. So I have no doubt we're going to be able to get a lot of wisdom. I also know we can't get to it all. We're going to have to be selective, but I'm excited to hear this time, and then we'll have you back next time for a rerun. So one thing that these guys are doing, as you know, Leadership Academy, they're working really hard to learn how to lead themselves well, how to understand themselves well, and this is really where we're starting out with them. But I want to go back a little bit to the beginning and hear from you guys. Where did your journey begin? What were you doing when you felt like you needed to take that first step out of your comfort zone into leading something like ICF Zurich? I will let you go.
Yeah, it's always, I think God always brings the right people into your life, actually. And one of them was Heinz Struppler and his father. So he saw us I think it was in Lausanne, in a city. So he asked us to join ICF. And I think the very first thing is actually that we believe in people, just asking people for a big step. And for us, we moved to Zurich from a village. This was our first step, actually. Let go the place where I grew up into, for us, like a big city. And the reason was because he asked us to join the church. And what I learned over all the years, sometimes you see a potential in someone, but you don't say anything. So just if you see something, speak it out boldly with confidence.
That's so good.
Yeah, exactly. And the same happened to our son, because our son was at kids' church. And when he grew up and was in youth, and a kids' church leader approached him and said, "Would you like to lead kids with me?" And that's why he's in kids now.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so good.
He was seen, and people like to be seen and to be approached and to be asked. It's seldom that they come by themselves, but they want to be seen. And exactly as you said, we were seen by Heinz' father, and he said, we need people like you are. And he meant the both of us.
Yeah. What do you think he saw?
He saw youth, he saw passion, he saw the willingness to go forward.
Yeah, the courage to just step out into something unknown. Yeah. Wow, it's really good. What were you guys doing before that? Yes, before you stepped into that.
Before I was in a printership as a printer, and I was brought up Catholic actually. So I was in a smaller church, and that church somehow gave me also opportunities to preach and lead the youth ministry. But then they want to send me to a mountain for a Bible school for 4 years, but on a mountain. So I thought that's not my thing. I want to study the Bible, but I also want to do something very, very practical. And that's why Heinz and his father came up with a new idea. Let's build or start a Bible school, like 50%, and the rest you're doing like church planting. You what you learned you put into praxis, and that was something. It hit me. I said, oh, that's my thing, because otherwise I could not go just on a mountain for 4 years and doing nothing. I mean, that's good for people. They don't like to work.
Right.
No, I mean, what the difference was that we could feel that Heinz had a vision, and he was able to express and explain the vision. So we imagined how it would be, and we thought this is exactly what we are looking for.
And another thing I remember the first time that this was a big key actually. What you're doing in ICF right now, he just invited us for a brunch in his home. So we went there, and we were not the only one. There were maybe 20 people there. He invited all different people, and that's the way how he did his leadership style, just hanging out, eating, drinking, and then he always had a word of encouragement. So because when I was like a Catholic, I was never in the house of the priest or of the leaders. So you just open up the home. It looks maybe now, for us it's like our style, but back then it was like, wow, just inviting to a home.
Wow.
And that this has, until now, actually a big key in our leadership. We are very touchable with the people. We're very close with the people. We don't have a green room where we preach and go back to the green room. We're always with the people, because we learned that from the beginning. Church is all about people. It's not about the building. It's all about people.
Yeah, that's so good. Wow. Yes, we know Heinz well. We love welcoming him here. So it's good to hear that connection. These guys know Heinz very well.
Good.
And so when you first said that, yes, we're going to come do this with you, what was the dream? What was the vision? Did it look anything like this?
No, the vision, I mean, Heinz and Annelies was, of course, the package of the family. They came back from America and they said, we need an international church in Zurich. That was not my idea. So he said, Zurich, we have a lot of international business people. We want to reach them. So I remember when we had the Sunday evening service, there was maybe 30 to 40 different nations there. So we had people from all over the world. So what I loved about Heinz was the vision, reaching the lost people for Jesus Christ, and also helping people to flourish in their gifts and their calling. So we always felt like he's a visionary leader, not like a project leader, more about vision. He always shared the vision, and I liked that a lot, because I think the church, maybe from now in 10 years, it looks different, but the vision is still the same.
Yeah, it's good.
And we also like the vision that he had. He brought the gospel, the singing from the States into Switzerland, because back then, 30 years ago, we had no worship in the churches in Switzerland. Even not in the Catholic, we know that, but also not in the non-denominational churches, no worship style. And he brought that into Switzerland. Wow. And that changed the whole style of how people experience church now in Switzerland and also in Europe anyway.
So I would say that the biggest learning for me when I think back of everything what I learned was always the slogan, from Heinz, almost every week he said to me, be a learner, be a lifelong learner, be a learner, learn, be a lifelong learner. And as he always said to me, you will never done with learning. There's always something.
Yeah.
And that's why over the years, the church has changed, the worship style, even the tattoos, everything has changed. Everything's changing, but the principles are still the same. You're equipping people, you're winning people, you're developing people, you train people, you send them out, you release them, whatever. But I think over all the years until now, it's wherever we go. It doesn't matter if you meeting a high capacity leader or maybe just a volunteer. You can learn from everyone. Be always a learner. Have an open mindset, and this is what we learned from Heinz, because he saw something in America and he brought it into Switzerland. Yeah. He never said, "Oh, it's my idea. I saw it in America." So what we have done in our ICF, always when I see something, it's working, I see that God is moving in a certain area, I copy, because I'm a learner. I don't want to be an original. I want to be effective, actually, for the kingdom of God. And this is something I will say that Heinz really almost every week, be a learner, be a learner, be a learner, be a learner. I said, I'm done. No, be a learner, be a learner. And this is like...
This is good, yeah.
It's in my heart.
I want to stay on this for a minute because these guys have heard this a lot.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, it's perfect. This is great. Now they know it's not just for me, right?
It's good.
Obviously, they're here to learn. We're here every week. They come for 2 hours, right? And it's a lot of content. We're constantly teaching this, and you have to do this, and stretch out of your comfort zone, and love people well, right? It's a constant flow of information. So what does it mean to be a learner and like receive it but not get overwhelmed by it and keep going and apply it? Like, how does that play out in your leadership?
There's always, when we're going to a conference in the early years, we were overwhelmed. We had like 1,000 things we should change, but it only maybe 10, 15, 20 people. So I learned another thing from Bill Hybels from Willow Creek Church. He said, just go home and change one thing, the big thing who makes the biggest impact. Don't change small things, change one thing, it has a big impact. So just break it down to one thing, but do the one thing.
Yeah, and also another coach said, work on your strength, on your strongest point, and work on your weakest point. And the middle, you just leave.
Just leave it.
Yeah.
Yes, we've also talked about they've learned this as well. These are really good lessons.
For example, when you're very good in winning people, you win people like every week, like for example, 5, 10 people, but then you lose 5 people again. In the end of the year, you are the same. So you have to ask the question, why do we lose people? Or why we win people? So you have to work on both. That's
fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
Glenn Blanchard.
Good Ken. Yeah, all these Americans.
Yeah. Oil.
So the current course that these guys are doing is about self-awareness, personality. So they've done the MBTI, they've done the DISC, they've done something like Strength Finders. They still have more tests. They don't even know it yet, but there's more to come. So again, we're just throwing it all out there at them. But I'm curious, what has your discovery of your self-awareness journey as a leader been like? And how, I know you've done these tests as well, probably. So how were they applied, or how important has it been to the effectiveness of your leadership to know these things, have these tools?
I think it's very, very key. It's very, very important that you know how you're wired, actually. So, for example, when people say, are you a leader? Okay, leader means, it's a big word. What kind of a leader?
Okay, yeah.
For example, I'm a visionary leader. I'm not good in management. I'm not good in counseling. If you would have a problem, I will say, hey, God is good. Come on, you can do it. So that's a visionary leader. So come on, even if you're deepest pit, there's always a way out, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important to understand what kind of a leader you are, what is the wiring that God has put into you. It's not like an excuse of saying, I'm not doing that, but I just have to focus in my strength, actually.
Yeah. And for me, it's very important. All these tests, I like these tests, but they bring not out what is in me. I have to find it myself, and then the tests just confirm what I figure out. Because as much as I know about myself, the test can confirm and help. But if I don't know about the test will not help. So it's really important to see that and recognize that I do things differently, and maybe also come to a point where you realize this is uniquely you, and you have uniquely this, and you play it out, because then it makes the whole thing the most beautiful. And the test can help, because I lately did a test and it says I'm a creative dolphin.
You are. You are.
This supports and confirms something that I feel already, and I know somehow, but I need a confirmation in that.
Agreed, yeah.
So that's, the test is helping much, but I need to know it myself.
Absolutely, yeah, it's good. This is also something we shared. I think a lot of people experience this, right? They get their test results and they feel so seen, like, this is me, I get it, right? But then other people are like, I don't know about that. And so it is a constant, like, figuring out, where do I fit into this? How do I use this information, right? And this is a really good point. And they are there.
I think for team building is very, very key, because it's also for you, because people have a lot of expectation what you should do. And I think there are certain things when you do this, you feel like you have a lot of energy and power, and sometimes I do certain things and I feel like, oh, I have now a burnout. So all the energy is gone. So, for example, when I'm a vision leader, I like to share the vision. I like to start something new. Guys have a new idea. Let's talk. And then when people ask me the question, how should we do that? I say, I don't know. So, but then we have other people. They take the idea and put it into pieces.
Yeah, it's good. I would love to hear more about how you've built that team, right? You know your strengths. The two of you know your strengths. And we've learned here, we know our strengths, and then we recognize that other people have strengths that are not ours, and it's difficult to work together sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely difficult. Yeah.
How have you built this environment for you as, very high level leaders with people that have other strengths that you maybe don't get sometimes? What is this?
So I think sometimes you start something and you maybe 3 or 4 people, then you have to do everything in the beginning. But there's always, when it's growing, you ask the question, where is this guy or person gifted? And then you hand over certain tasks and gifts. And then you need also like different people in your team. If everyone is the same like you, then you will not reach all the people. That means you need diversity. Diversity, it's actually the challenge. I have in my team always like a guy who's more like the shepherd. He loves the single person. I like big. Big is for me good. He likes the small. And another guy is like very into project. Everything has to be written down. He will ask the question, but how? I say, I don't know, it's your job. So when we have a meeting, there's a lot of talks. We are not agreeing in the beginning, but then we talk, and after a while we come to a conclusion. But we know each other. Yeah. And when we have this as a team, we want to reach more people.
Yeah. So the key is having an awareness, right? That the person across the street doesn't have the same gifts, and they're not going to think the way you think, and working around that.
Yeah, but nevertheless, the attitude is very important. That you go for the same, because in the diversity, it can also be that they think differently. And they see things so different, you cannot reach the same goal. But the diversity has to be, the goal you want to reach is the same, and the attitude behind is not the team member wants to correct me, or I always need to correct the team member. Then you go nowhere, even though you are very different. You have to be sensitive if you really mean the same thing. And sometimes it's the point where you say, okay, you do your thing, I do my thing, because it's not only the diversity, but the attitude behind is different.
Yeah. It's the same like in a marriage. If you are single, you're not happy because you're alone, right? So then you're longing for a partner. Then you have the partner and they, we are the same. No, it's not. It's always the opposite. And as long as you get married, you think, oh my gosh, we're really not the same. But we have the same vision and
the same values.
Yes. Yeah. But both, they're bringing something into the team, and then you're complete. And this is very important to know as a leader. I have only one part in the whole game. One part. Good, that's it. I'm not everything. And I need other people that our team is complete.
Does this expand, as you grow in leadership, obviously starting out, you kind of want to own everything, right? You want to be the person that has all the answers, right?
In the beginning.
Let that go, yeah.
In the beginning, yeah. In the beginning, but when something starts to grow, then you're losing everything, because you cannot do the meetings alone, you cannot have the counseling alone, then you're realizing I'm overwhelmed with the size. Yeah. Size is also pressure that, I have to multiply, I need teams. I mean, you need teams always from the beginning, but the size pushes that down, that I need a team. And I think the good thing is that you just know you have one gifting, but you don't have the whole package. You don't have the whole package, even though if I think I have the package.
Yes.
But I'm not the package.
You're not the
I'm not the package.
We can't do it all. It's true. This is really good. So you are clearly a visionary leader. That's how you would describe yourself, yes? How about you, Susanna? Where would you...
The creative dolphin.
Yeah, the creative dolphin. What does that mean?
I mean, it's difficult to say that I'm a visionary leader when you are next to Leo.
Right.
Because
Fair
he
enough.
is really visionary. But I would say, I am too.
But it's a good point, right? Two visionary leaders can look very different in the world, right? This is very accurate.
But the difference is between, if you're a vision leader, me too, it's still different, because I like it to break it down. So if I have an idea, for example, let's plant a church in Belgium or in France. So I have a person, then I have like a map, a vision map. Okay. She will say, let's go and let's see what will happen. It's just more like the dolphin. So she has also a vision. But when we talk, I don't understand how in the world you don't have a plan. And she think, why do we have such a fixed plan? Still, we have.
My plan is created by doing and by walking, and then I can see it.
It's like drawing a picture, like
but in the beginning, he had a clear plan what we gonna be like or what we gonna do, and it's very helpful if I don't have such a fixed plan, because I could easily adapt, because I knew the direction is the right one. But for me, it doesn't matter. It's like this or like that. I can adapt.
I think you're speaking to a lot of hearts of the room. They feel this. They understand this. So it's really good to express how we all live out our strengths differently and have to respect each other for it, right? This is really great. I want to talk quickly about because they've also sent in questions. So I will get to their questions too. But I want to talk also a little bit about communication. This is another topic we've talked a lot about in this class, is our communication styles. And I've watched you guys from afar, this messages, and you both clearly have very different communication styles. You communicate differently, but effectively. How did you find your voice? How did you discover how that you're supposed to communicate to be the most effective?
It's I want to repeat me again. It's the same thing I learned from Heinz Struppler. Be a learner. Be a learner. So in the beginning, he said, don't create your own messages. So copy a message from somewhere and just make it personal. So what we did in the first 7 years, we copied Rick Warren from America, like almost every message. Of course, you make it shorter. Yeah. But we copied the idea, the preaching series, everything in the beginning, because he said it takes 7 to 8 years to figure out your own communication style. Yeah. So then when you feel like comfortable and you learned like how to preach and how to teach and how to lead, all of a sudden you're figuring out, that's my wording, that's the way how I do it. And then, of course, I used less and less Rick Warren, more and more like my own messages. Yeah. And now, after many years of preaching, now it's very simple. I start with an empty page and I have idea of forgiveness, and then just write it down what comes in me. But I have also experience of 30 years. Yeah, so there's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of content in me already. So it takes 7 years at least to figuring out your communication style. And when you copy something in the beginning, gives you the confidence that the content is good. Because I don't know how it is here, but in Europe, people are very picky because of the internet and TikTok and Facebook and everything. You have a lot of content, That means when you have communication and your content is not good, people feel like let's skip, So that's why be a learner as well. Learn from that style. You are the most attracted. So I will say that's good, because there's a lot of speakers and communication people around the globe.
Yeah,
Yeah, nothing to add. Exactly the same.
Oh,
So
wow.
take your time, guys. We're getting there. We're going to keep making you communicate so that you find that style, right? You get used to it. So I have a few questions from these guys that they sent in ahead of time. And I don't think I can get to all of them, guys, but I will do my best to get to most of yours. So the first one is, how do you cultivate a leadership culture that encourages innovation and adaptability within a church? So I think the idea here is like, how do you know, when you have a church runs a lot on volunteers, that people show up and they just want to help, but the ICF church is really like heartbeat of our time, creative, moving forward, this kind of energy, right? Mm-hmm. How do you balance and create this culture, giving people space to be a creative dolphin?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's in the end of the. That's actually a challenge, because I would say for me, church is like a family. A family is a certain style. There's not right or wrong, and you have a certain style, and you cannot change that style. Yeah. For example, in the beginning, when we had people came in for worship, it's a big key. People say, "Oh, we don't like the worship style of ICF Zurich. We like more jazz." Yeah. Or so now say we're not a jazz church. We're doing like the 80% of the people they listening the way of worship we do. So then you're losing certain people, because you will not find each other in the style. So you cannot change the style all the time, like the way you do the family. But there's a slogan I learned that from Hillsong from Brian Houston. He said, "Same, same, same, a little bit different." So we want to change always a little bit, but if you do all the time big change, people getting very, very tired. But change always a little bit. And also what we do, we try out certain things. When people come and say, we have a table, we speak about the Pentecostal weekend. Some years ago I said, Pentecostal is very, very low in attendance. So let's do something. And I said, let's do a Holy Spirit Sunday. So let's do like 8 sessions on a day. And people said, it doesn't work because no one is here. And I said, why do you know? Have you ever done it? No. So how do you know? I said, before we not have done it, there's no feedback. So we did it, and we had thousands of people, like more people than ever. So then the second year we said, what can we adjust? What can we do better? Just a little bit. But sometimes as a team, you have to give everything a chance. Just give it a chance. And then when you have done it, then you can discuss.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. The next is, how do you support staff? You kind of answered this a little bit. How do you support staff that have the same strength as you versus those who have the same weaknesses as you? Is that right?
Also, when people have the same strength like me, I mean, I like it, but it's also a challenge because they need a space.
Oh, yeah, true.
You have to find a space where they can flourish and using their gifts. For example, if I'm a senior pastor, and I had some years ago, another guy came to the church and said, I'm a senior pastor too. I have the same gifts, and said, 2 senior pastors in a church is not a good idea. So I stay, but the question is, where do you go? So we released him. That's why we did a lot of church planting. It's not I have an ego problem, but if you have too many kings in the same spot, you will kill each other. So it's very important to understand no one has done anything wrong, but always find a spot where they can flourish and develop. And that's why we have also a lot of different age groups in our church. We have like Sunday evening service, like international service, Sunday morning service. We have locations, we have microchurches. We have a lot of options, and the reason is because if we will not have options, we will have a problem, because when you have thousands of people, there's not like 5 worship leaders. There are, I always saying there are 100 worship leaders, but there's only one stage. So you have built stages, opportunities where people can flourish.
That's good. It's really good.
Otherwise, you have like a fight, and I don't like to fight because I want to win.
That's really good. Yeah. Okay, this is a big one that I think both of you maybe can answer. Is, what did you learn from your biggest mistake?
What did I learn from my biggest mistake? I learned never give up. Never give up. We did, and that God can do great things out of big mistakes. I mean, we changed the small group system And that was actually a big mistake, but it brought women to the stage, because the small group system worked like that. Men are responsible for men, women are responsible for women. And I mean, I was not in that kind of leadership practice like Leo was, but I was obviously the woman next to him, and I had to take over leadership from 0 to 100, and leading women that were much more equipped leaders than I was back then. And that was a terrible mistake, but nevertheless we see we are here where we are because of that. So the mistake was big, and it hurt me, it hurt others, but we survived.
God used it, yeah.
God used it.
We survived, yeah.
That's good.
So my biggest mistake was like in the early years when our church was growing. So we had never a building. So we moved from building to building. So we felt like buying a huge property of land, Seal City. Remember, huge land. So I was seeking the Lord, and I felt like we should buy that property. Well, it was so big and so expensive, actually. So while I was this announcing to the church, and we raised money for maybe 2 years, maybe 1 or 2 million we raised, and then after we raised the money, they sold the land to a big company. So the land was gone. So people asked the question, what happened? We felt like God gave to you the word, and it's your land. So I had no clue what I should do, because I really believed this was the voice of the Lord. And I when I felt back, I felt I've done nothing wrong. So for maybe 3-4 years, I could not preach well anymore. I was not confident anymore. I could not say, hey, come on, let's change the world, because people said we sacrificed. We gave 2 million. So after 2 years or maybe 3 years, I said to the church, if you want to have back the money, we want to give back the money, because obviously the land is sold. So what I learned out of that is not using always the name God told me. Just I felt like if I have an idea, I just share it. I always say I have an idea. I never say God spoke to me in the night, and that's the word from the Lord, because that's also very hard for people if they not agree. So people will not fight against God, but you never know it's from here from God. So I learned through that lessons when we do something, we always said we have the feeling. We believe there's something, but we never use the terms God spoke to us. We just say we have an idea, we have a feeling, we believe that could be right. Just do it. Let's try out. If this is really from God, then let's try out. So it gives much more the freedom that people could say, I'm not agree, because they don't have to be, they're not fighting against God. It's about me, and that's a little bit like the freedom over the years. Of course, sometimes it doesn't feel and sense so spiritual. It's always like God spoke to me in my prayer time. Oh my gosh, I don't use this term anymore.
That's good.
Just I always say I have a feeling.
That's good.
Because sometimes I have also a feeling. I'm not sure is this my feeling or it's a feeling from God. It's sometimes very difficult to discern.
And it's also interesting when we look back to that time now. We think, what did we think that we can buy that land? It was way beyond what
it was huge.
Accomplish, even though we had faith. But what I want to say is, your first impression is not wrong, but it's rough. It's raw. It's raw. It has to be, how do you say?
Developed.
It has to be developed.
Brought into season,
and maybe you need the time that your raw idea, what you hear from God is not wrong, but it has to be developed and made more clear, and it needs time.
That's good.
And the funny thing is, now when I look back, we want to buy. This land was so big. I mean, incense big.
It's
really huge. So if we will build that, we will be done, because we will not have time to church planting.
Right,
So years later, I had this feeling again with my wife, we should build a building. So I approached the business guy and said, hey, we want to build a building, but I'm a pastor. I don't want to use my times for building and land. He said to me, no big deal. I know exactly how to build a building, because I'm a Christian. I always I do a lot of events. So I said to him, why you doing the building and I'm doing the church planting? So when we had in our building project, I had maybe 10 meetings, not more. So I was free to do church planting, preaching, teaching. And even now, we don't own the building, but we can use the building on a Sunday. We could not afford the building. We just rented it on a Sunday. And now I see God change the story. And now I'm so glad that we don't own our own building because it's a lot of energy, a lot of times. True, and we are very flexible. If we have the feeling in 10 years we want to move out, we can move. They cannot move because they build it. So we have much more flexibility, but the other challenge is it doesn't belong to us. But just saying God changed the whole story. What looked in the beginning like as a big fail, it's for me now like a big release because we are a church planting movement. So I can spend my whole energy not in a building, not in a land, just people and church planting. And God has appointed other people. They brought the money. They built the building. They do the whole event things. I have nothing to do with that. I just my job is only to complain. I say, oh, the light wasn't good. Or today was too cold. That's the only thing.
So it worked out better in the end.
They have to manage.
Yeah, they have to manage. It worked out better. Do you think these two examples are? I'm sure there are many more. Failure is a part of leadership, but
not many more.
Yeah,
no, just kidding. No.
Not many big ones. Maybe a few small ones.
There's a slogan in English: failing forward.
Yes.
As long as you learn, it's a failure. Failure is always. So making a mistake, it's not a good thing. To be quite honest, I don't like it. But if you learn and you stand up, then you can learn from it, and that makes you better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, learn, fail, repeat. We talk about this.
Yeah, this is very important.
Keep going. Yeah, you have to, because that step taught you something that you.
Yeah, and I think a very, very important things as a leader is always to say sorry. To say to the church, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I meant it really. I don't know why I did these mistakes. I'm really sorry, and I felt like a leader can say sorry. Yeah. It's easy for me to follow but if a leader never says sorry, I will not feel comfortable because no one is perfect. Only Jesus Christ, He's perfect.
That's true, yeah.
But everyone else, we have our struggles, our issues, and if you can say, I'm sorry, that builds up actually trust. And not only the word I'm sorry, also you can see a year later, he's improved. He's not the same person anymore.
That's so good. So good. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, guys. I know we're at our end, but let's see if we have actually. We'll just close out. This was amazing, right? Yeah. I like I said, we got like a very small tip of the iceberg from your experience, and so maybe next time we dive even deeper because this was really beautiful. But I'd also love to hear just your parting thoughts of wisdom that you would like to share with a room of 20, 30-something leaders in Cambodia who really, truly desire to be excellent role models and change the future of their country and their generation. Yeah, have that.
Yeah, I would encourage you to keep on going, keep on learning, work hard. But as soon as you feel more pressure than you feel joy, something is wrong. And then not just give up, but ask question with Jesus. Go into a conversation with Him and say, this bothers me, this is too heavy for me. Was it meant to be like that, or how can I do that? Then start to have a conversation before you give up. That for me, the measure is when it feels too heavy, then it's an indicator that something is wrong. Yeah. But not give up, but start question to God, and then He can correct.
Yeah, that's really
so that's the slogan. We don't endure church, we enjoy church. It's from Brian Houston Hillsong. So I was quoting that you understand. I learned, I copy certain things. It helps me just to give an. So for me to change Cambodia, for me as well, I want to change the whole world. If the world is not enough, I want to change the galaxies. So break it down. It's very, very, very simple because people ask me how you planted. So they say you planted 80 churches. So I always say, I hear you, but it was not me. Yeah. So what I did, Jesus picked 12 people. And with the 12 people, He changed the world. Yeah. Because that 12 people, they're going out, they're winning one guy, one person, they baptize them, they train them, they teach them, and say, hey, do the same thing again. Changing the world actually starts always with a very, very small group. Actually, and they're doing the same thing. What you learned, you give it to the next generation again. So when I want to change Switzerland, I say I want to change 12 people, and they're becoming leaders, and they're going out and doing the same thing. And then people will say, oh my gosh, you are the biggest church in Switzerland. You are, and they will say, yeah, I hear you, but calm down. I gave my life for 12. You hear me what I mean? It's people speak about the size, but in the end of the day, it's always a small amount of people where you give your life. And another person said, if you want to change the world, go home and be the best dad, be the best mom, because everything starts always in your own family. Otherwise, it's a show. That's why you want to change the world, change yourself, and then going out, win one guy, one person, a third, a fourth one, build up team, and do the same thing again. You train, they're going out and doing the same thing. And then all of a sudden you see growth takes place, but it's not the size. It's always a lot of thousands of people, they're doing their job, and in the end of the day, no one can take the glory. The glory and the praise always belongs to God Almighty. And that's the sweetest thing, because we're not created that people worshiping us. We are created that we worship God.
And what I want to say is the hope of Cambodia really is inside here. Why do I know? It's not an empty phrase, but I saw people here in this country, their eyes are dead. And when I came in here, I saw your eyes. And your eyes are sparkling because we can feel that Jesus lives inside of you. And this is the hope of the world. And that's why I know here in this room lives the hope for Cambodia.
Come on.
Because your eyes are sparkling. You love Jesus. And as Leo said, if one loves Jesus, then it's a light and it goes into the country and it can change the country, because I saw the difference of people without Jesus here in the country and with you.
Wow.
Yes, come on. Good.
In closing, writes about the story, just explain you what it happens. We had, in Austria, we had no churches. So was my closest friend, he came over to my house, and Reto Kalbrunn as well. So we took a piece of paper and we draw Austria. This is like a nation. And we said, how can we win Austria? And said, it's too overwhelmed the question. Do we know a person who lives in Austria? And he said, yeah, I know one guy. So we wrote down the name. So what we did, we met that guy, and he said, yeah, I will be very interested to plant a church. Cool. So we took that guy and planted the first church. Wow. And then people got saved, and then there was another guy and said, hey, I want to plant a church too. So we sent them out and had a church number 2. So now, after some years, we have maybe 5 to 7 church plants in Austria. Wow. So that means it started with a piece of paper and was just one name. So that always starts with the one. And then you share your life, you bring it to home, you have like a brunch, what you learned from Heinz Struppel, invite for a brunch. Everything starts with a brunch, because when people are fed,
fed,
they will be happy. And that's why, in the end of the day, be a visionary. That means I don't limit myself of saying I cannot change Cambodia. I will change Cambodia, but it always starts with the one. And then it's very, very easy and simple. It's also manageable.